Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Jeeps here. I'm your old composer here at the World Music Reaction and Review channel. And to keep into consistency with what this channel started off with was music from around the world, though OSTs and video games have now become a wonderful thing that I'm definitely rinsing in, okay? There's still beautiful music that are written by artists and bands, be it instrumental or vocals, and I still want to make sure I'm on this. But of course, I know who Snarky Puppy is. They are, without a doubt, one of my favorite groups put together by the bass player Michael. And I have just become completely enamored by the musicianship and the musicians that actually come through. Every season there's new musicians that show up, and apparently this one here is one that features, now, I don't know, I should have done a little more homework. I don't know if this artist's name is Väsen or the artist's name is Shapons Vindaloo, but forgive me, just don't come for me in the comments. I hold up the old man card, I admit it, I didn't do my homework. So I very much look forward to listening to some Snarky Puppy. For those of you who are here for the OST and video games, we know what I find about that particular audience is that they have a very wide, broad listening soundscape. So it's not like, I did a couple of these on my heavy metal channel at the very beginning of it, and I got a little, I got a lot of support by a lot of people who were in for more of the heavy metal journey. And so I think if you have not been exposed to Snarky Puppy from my video game OST audience, I think you're really going to dig. I don't even know what this is, but I automatically know it's going to be a journey. Thank you so much for your support. Cup of coffee, checking out the headsets. The links are down below. I am now on Twitch. My first Twitch is coming up in a Twitch is coming up in 4 or 5 days, where I'm going to test a few things, and away we go. All right, here we go. That was a long intro. I'm sorry. Most of you just probably scooped right by. Here we go. This is Snarky Puppy featuring Väsen, and I think the name of the track is Shapons Vindaloo. All right, let's do this. Oh, I gotta stop somewhere, and I just so don't want to, so I'll make this really fast. What's beautiful about what I'm hearing and how this is composed and arranged is a mastery and syncopation. The meter on this, it can be shifted. You can think about it in different ways. Now, I'm not gonna go, I don't do theory. For those of you first time here, I don't do that. I try to do more from here. Briefly, what the syncopated rhythms are is that these are many different instruments here that are holding very unique rhythmical patterns. And the accents of these notes that might be as straight as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever the time meter is, as straight as that might sound, at where each one of these instruments and their arrangements accent an arrangement is what gives us this kind of like, where are we coming from? And they have yet to introduce to us yet any kind of like zip line of rhythm that keeps us square into the pocket. So it allows us to experience all these very unique kind of head bobbing moments that are going there. The opening guitar part that started with that pattern, I was going, is that, and then I realized it's a 12-string acoustic thing with a capo on it. I went, oh, what a great sound. And they got 3 guitar players. We've got a couple keyboard players. They're all starting to come in and bring in their unique arrangements. Michael on the bass, if you're a fan of Snarky Puppy, Michael's sense of rhythm and composition is otherworldly. And it kind of reminds me of, my uncle was in a band called Caldera, which was in the 70s. If you're a Latin jazz fusion aficionado from the 70s, it was during that Weather Report jam. It was him, Jorge Struntz, Steve Travagalloni, Mike Baiano, Alex Acuna and stuff. And this reminds me of that constant building of layers and stuff rhythmic wise. And so it kind of hits me a little more at home when I'm hearing this, but let's continue on. Okay, briefly, I just want to talk about the tambourine. Remember I was talking about in the first stop, that zip line, that rhythm that gives us normal people who just listen to music, that like, oh, there it is. I feel settled, I feel comforted. Because at this point, you know, with Nate, who is my favorite percussionist, Nate, you just are killing it out there. The way Nate and the other percussionists, as well as the drummers, is so complex and so uniquely, they're not on top of each other. That's what's masterful about what Snarky Puppy does. But that tambourine, when it came in, I was like, yay! There it is. Oh gosh, that was absolutely perfect for me. I so needed to listen to that. I so needed to enjoy just that kind. I needed that rhythm in me like that. It's so intoxicating. This is written in with using a mode. There's different modes in music that create different kinds of feelings. This mode created what we felt, I think everybody felt more like a Middle Eastern Indian vibe, if you would. And music from India and the theory there is just so rhythmically rich. It's unbelievable. And each one of these musicians seem to have pulled from their influence of that, as well as, parts are written out too. I mean, that's what Michael does. That's part of the genius. But I'm also, without a doubt, each one of these musicians bring a very special feel to the instruments that they play, even if it's written out. And that's something I can go into some other time. I love the instrument at the very beginning. I'm a composer, but it doesn't mean I'm a ethnomusicologist or something. I don't know what the name of that instrument is. It sounds beautiful. It was stunning. His performance was fantastic. The melody was beautiful. And like usual, within the arrangements, as the melody starts to build and get stronger through dynamics of the performance, as it gets louder, it goes very soft. Then it gets louder. And as it gets louder, the arrangements start to build. The horn section is just butter. Pure butter. And I think what I really enjoy about this is outside of the lead melody of that musician, Väsen, I believe. And if I got it wrong, I'm sorry. There was no out there solo except for that great little Moog solo, which to me harkens back to, you got to listen. Look, I promise, if you are anywhere near a jazz musician or Latin jazz musician, I'm going to put the link of, it's called, what is it called? I had it saved here somewhere. Coastin' from my uncle's album with Caldera in 1976, especially bass, if you're a flautist and stuff. Listen to that and listen to how hypnotic Dean Cortez on the bass started with this riff. And listen to how Caldera and the musicians there build as well. Now that is, sound-wise, a hell of a lot more primitive than how beautiful and round and fat this sounds, because by virtue of great recording, the engineers, fantastic. But, 3 guitar players. Not only is there Michael playing the bass, but there's the keyboard bass that's going. There's some heavy build behind it, musicianship, sound-wise. But it just has that hypnotic vibe and that beautiful change just at the, 3/4 of the way through. Just enough to give us kind of like, we've jumped off this beautiful rhythmical vibe and we're just going to glide for a second. And then they go, we're going to bring you back down. And then with the tube bells as well. I mean, this was so well arranged. I'm sorry, I yammered on too much. Just a cup of Death Wish coffee will do that to you. Drugs are bad, okay? You guys take care. Hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you later.